Hi, it's Paul Partridge here with Remax Crosstown and the West Toronto real estate team in Barrie. And today we're going to take a look at what actually happened in the Barrie real estate market in February 2026. We're going to cover things like prices and the number of homes that were selling, how long it took to sell a home, and what it means if you're planning to buy or sell this year. Let's start with the headline numbers. In February 2026, the average selling price for the home in Barrie was approximately up about 2% from the previous month, which shows prices have maybe stabilized after what is traditionally a slower winter period. We also saw around 383 new homes come onto the market in Barrie in February, and the average time that it took to sell a home is about 42 days. So what does that tell us? Well, it kind of tells us that currently Barrie is sitting in what most real estate agents would call a buyer's market. Now let's talk about sales activity, because that's where things get interesting. Earlier in the year, Barrie's seen about 100 homes selling in a typical month, which is noticeably lower than the levels that we've seen a couple of years ago. The median selling price is around $677,000, and many homes were selling slightly below their asking price by about $20,000 on average. What this tells us is that buyers are negotiating, and they're negotiating hard. In February 2026, Barrie saw about 120 homes sell, compared to 151 homes in February 2025. That's roughly a 20% drop in sales activity, which tells us buyers are still being cautious, even though prices have remained relatively stable. And if you've been watching the market for the last few years, that is a huge shift. There are a few reasons for this shift, though. First, interest rates still are higher than they were a few years ago, which has slowed buyer activity across Ontario. In fact, we just seen fixed interest rates go up slightly. Second, inventory is increasing, meaning buyers have way more options and don't feel the pressure to jump in on the first home that they see. And third, there's still a lot of economic uncertainty, which has caused many buyers to take a little bit more time before making that big financial decision. But here's the key thing to remember. Even though sales activity has slowed, Barrie continues to attract buyers from the GTA because of, well, firstly, lifestyle and affordability compared to Toronto. If you're thinking about selling your home this year, here's the reality. The market has shifted from list it and sell it tomorrow to price it right and market it properly. Homes that are priced right and show well are still selling. It's just taking a little bit more time. But buyers today are more selective. They're looking at multiple properties, comparing values, and negotiating. Homes are also taking longer to sell. In February 2026, the average home in Barrie took about 42 days to sell, compared to around 34 days in February last year. That tells us that buyers are taking a lot more time. That means things like professional photography, strategic pricing, and strong online marketing are more important than ever. In February 2026, Barrie saw 383 new listings hit the market compared to 393 new listings in February last year. So essentially the same year over year, which helps explain why prices have stayed relatively stable even though sales activity has slowed. So if you're a buyer, this market actually gives you some advantages. You now have a good amount of listings to choose from, more time to make decisions, the ability to include conditions, and for many buyers, it's a huge improvement. In fact, I'm in Burlington tonight looking at 3 different townhomes. They're all very similar in the same neighborhoods. My buyers are going to pick the one they like best and see if they can come to terms with the sellers. Looking forward, many forecasts suggest Barrie home prices could increase modestly in 2026, which some predictions estimate around 4% increase as confidence returns to the market. And as we move into the spring market, which is traditionally the busiest time of the year, we'll likely see more listings, more buyers, and more activity across Simcoe County. So if you're curious about what your home might be worth today, or you're thinking about buying in Barrie this year, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to have a conversation with you. And if you found this update helpful, make sure that you like and subscribe and follow along for regular updates on the Barrie real estate market. Also, I invite you to reach out to me at partridgeproperties.ca and just book a Zoom call or a simple phone call with me. I promise it'll be worth your time. Until next time, have a great day.